Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Anna.
And we're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out.
It is Sunday, December 1st. December? Feels nice to say December. Mm-hmm. And we are coming to you from Northern California. Beautiful, sunny, crisp day outside.
Yeah. And you may not know this, but we have a live studio audience today. Our sister Susan is sitting over there on the sofa. Hey, Susan!
Hi, you're just Thanksgiving leftover.
When you see the applause sign, can you just do some applause? Okay.
Thumbs up.
All right. Oh, yeah, she's going to do the thumbs up along the way. So, we got a lot going on. But we actually don't have a lot going on. No, we have a lot. I have a lot. Anna doesn't have so much. Mm-hmm. That's all right. All right, so we're going to talk about what I'm wearing. I guess we can also talk about what you're wearing. We have an FFO to highlight. We're going to recap our fall 12 by 12 stitching that we did a couple of weekends ago. We have some whips, some plans, maybe one shared supply. And then we'll end with our thumbs up. So that's what we have in store today. Anything from comments or anything that we need to talk about or from our life?
One interesting tip from comment for me was I had put rickrack around my little squirrel finish, my little pillow, and I was talking about how the rickrack is unraveling. And someone said if you burn it a little bit on the end, it will not unravel. She said she got that from Vonna Pfeiffer. That hot tip.
Okay, hot tip. If Vonna does it, must work. Okay, that sounds good because that can be frustrating when things start to unravel.
And the AI responses to comments on YouTube are continuing to make me smile. And one commenter said, "You can, AI comment me. I'll be your." So I did.
Oh, did you?
I chose the AI comment, and then I left her a little comment. I said, "Okay, that was the AI comment."
And how closely did the AI comment?
They're
match
great.
What you
They're
said?
like I think for the one about the rickrack tip, it said something like, "Thanks for the helpful tip, so-and-so." And then there was one other sentence like, "Enjoy your stitching this week," or something. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to use it some more?
I might.
Maybe we should have people guess. Did you get an AI comment back or not?
We don't even know if people really read the responses. That's actually, that would be nice to hear about.
Yeah.
From people.
Because I don't know about you all, like for me, when I leave a comment, I know sometimes people will comment back, but I think they come up in your notifications, but I don't feel like YouTube platform is set up to have any kind of like dialogue in the comments. Right. So I know it's tricky. Mm-hmm. So that would be just a good question. If you are a commenter, how often do you go back and look to see if you have a reply to your comment?
Yeah, not just for us, but for anybody, because there's some of you out there who are really good at commenting, just so steadfast
and we love reading them.
It's really fun. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so things going on with us. We just
had
just the usual. We had great Thanksgiving week. Okay, Susan's going to give us some applause for that one. Thanksgiving week. Some family in town, lots of activities. Good food. Got our Christmas trees.
I was so determined. The day after Thanksgiving, I'm like, we are driving over the hill to get our trees. And Carolyn was game. So.
Yeah, and we did. Okay, great. All right, should we get into it?
Yes, what are you wearing, Carolyn?
All right, I am wearing my newest sweater, the Marble Mount, and this is designed by Joji Locatelli. I wore it one other time earlier where I still hadn't woven in my ends. I was trying to adjust my length and everything. So it's all done. It's blocked. It's ready to go. I love how you can see color through here. This, the yarn I used is called Luxe by Sonder Yarn Company. It's a Canadian yarn company, and the colorway is Cinema. And it's a fingering merino cashmere nylon. Now, this is the interesting thing is this is superwash merino, and when you do superwash, what you're doing is you're actually coating the yarn so it doesn't have the wool barbs on it.
I remember you saying that before,
and it's the wool barbs that will cause it to felt when it's heat. But part of that is it takes away some of the liveliness of the wool. So for example, when I washed this and blocked it, it stretched out. So it ended up being a little bit wider.
So by liveliness, you mean like it's recovery?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh. So real woolly wool can hold water, it bounces back, it's springy, and the superwash process takes out some of that. So I'm debating whether I might wash it again and put it actually through the dryer just to a little bit
scary.
I mean, I think it's still good, but I wanted this to be like maybe a little bit more form-fitting than it turned out. But it's going to definitely be a staple for that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So super happy with it, and now it's in my rotation. So it's good. Okay. Do you want to talk about what you're wearing?
Oh, sure. I do love this dress. It's just one of those Marimekko classic designs, and I really, really, really love her graphic design. Mm-hmm. So this is a dress I like to wear with sneakers. It's just kind of
excuse me,
comfy.
Did you bring your board?
No.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to get my board.
I will go ahead and start with one of my fully finished.
Yeah.
I have one fully finished object, and Carolyn is going to go into detail about her 12 by 12 that she did. We both did this 2 weekends ago. But one of the things that I did was to finish a project bag that I had started a long time ago. I had pieced together this front and had chosen the fabric, but then I actually made the back. And there's some more William Morris on the inside. So that felt great because I think this is just sweet and pretty, but it was just sitting there in its pieces. So I'm very happy to have that done. So I need to get something good to hang off my zipper.
I love the back fabric.
It's good.
Is that a William Morris fabric?
Yeah.
Was this a William Morris charm pack that you got?
Those 2-inch charm packs, which makes exactly this strip and this. So I still use the Elizabeth Ann Ken Stitch pattern, but this is a little bit smaller.
I know.
Slightly smaller.
Oh, it is slightly smaller. Okay. Because I've been thinking about, I love the Elizabeth Ann Ken Stitch tutorial. It works really well. I think I want to make my bags just a little bit bigger. Just a little bit. So
you don't have to fold over sort of the top of the pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially sometimes if the pattern is in a 9 by 12 bag, I have to kind of like fold down the edge for that. So just a tad big next time. Okay, that's nice.
Oh yeah, there it is.
I did get it. All right, so my fully finished object is my Sweet Rewards Pinkeep, and I finished it as a little stitching mat. So I kind of finished it as a small quilt where I put a layer of batting. This is the back fabric that came. It was supposed to be finished, or it was suggested to be finished as a pillow. And then I did a little 1/4 inch binding all the way around. And pretty happy with how it turned out. The binding with the mitered corners at this small scale was really finicky and was very hard to get a crisp corner on that. And it's funny, probably when you're doing a binding on your quilt, it's the same thing. Your corner isn't totally crisp,
I bet you're right.
But it's in this big scale, so it's not quite so visible in your face. But really happy with this. I got this tray actually when we were visiting Susan, this tray. And it fits perfectly in there.
It really does.
It literally fits perfectly. I didn't even think about it too much when I put it in. So my stitching setup is I have this little fold out bag that goes down here. I have my magnifying glasses, and I have my scissors, and I have my Orts container. So that is my stitching setup when I'm stitching.
It's nice and compact. You have had some really nice luck, shall we call it, of things fitting, because also your previous scattered seed sampler finish was fit perfectly in a basket that Susan gave you.
In fact, Susan, I want to show you that before you go, how good it looks. Okay, so that's my FFO.
Very nice.
Yes.
Just looks cozy and inviting.
That was the second installment in the Birds and Berry Pinkeep, and I have the third installment. I think I probably won't stitch it right now. I'll probably stitch it
And what are your feelings about doing the subscription again next year? Because if you do it, I'm going to do it. But if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm doing just what you do, Carolyn.
I might do it again. Okay. I'm going to see when
Keep in touch.
When it gets posted. It was just like one of those spur of the moment things. I think it was posted like New Year's Day, and I'm like, sure. And I'm really actually happy I did. It was really fun. But now I realize why it's called the Pinkeep and Birds and Berries. This should have been so obvious. But every pattern comes, you make like a little strawberry that goes with it. It gives you that little fabric, and I'm just like, I'm not doing
the
that.
birds and berries.
But
the berry part?
That's like,
I thought you meant the Pinkeep part.
The bird and the berry. So,
I think I could get into the berry part.
I think you could too. And if we both do the kit, you can make 2 of each.
I could.
And make a little.
That would work out great.
So, all right, that was fun. That was my FFO. Okay, what I wanted to do for us is we did a fall 12 by 12. I'm calling it 12 by 12 stitch-in. I loved doing the New Year's Eve one last year so much. It sort of replaced for me the 24 hours of cross stitch that we had done a few times and had enjoyed. And I tried to do one 4 times during the year. I did a spring one, that was great. I didn't do a summer one, and I wanted to do a fall one, but never found a full day I could do it. So I spread it over the weekend. I did 12 by 12 starting, and Anna did it also. We started on Friday afternoon and went through Sunday.
And by 12 by 12, we mean 12 ideas of things to do an hour each.
Right. I know some people at New Year's, I think, do 12 starts or 12, they do different things. So I make a little list of just 12 things I'm gonna do and then which hour they were gonna go in. Now this, I think I prefer when I do it in one day. Because when it's one day, I stay to that hour. Like I work for 45 minutes, I take a photo, post it on Instagram, I take a little walk or a break, and then I'm back to my next hour. This one, my hours started to bleed, and sometimes I'd go a little bit longer, which is fine. But I liked something about that, like one day kind of thing. Okay.
And the way I organized mine was I had like a brain dump. Like I made a list of possibilities. And then each hour, I looked at my list and said, I'm going to do this one next, and then this one next. So I didn't prescribe like that.
All right. So we're going to use the structure of the 12 by 12 just to go through some of the things that we touched or worked on. So my first thing is actually of the 12 hours, 4 of them I worked on Fruits of Plenty. So it was hour 1, hour 3, hour 6, and hour 7. And I'm making progress, and I worked on finish this octagon in the bottom. Let's see if I can get that better view of that. And I still have that's the one thing, like your hour's up, I still have a needle and thread attached to it. Okay, Anna, can you see that in the camera?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get it up close. And this one, there was something off with the bird. So I had to do a lot of like fudging with the stuff around it, but
yep.
It
One
totally
of those
worked.
things where you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Just as long as you get your balance in there.
This is stitched on 32 count Zweigart white that I indigo dyed, and then it's stitched with MPI white silk. And this is supposed to be my focus to finish 2024. Wah, wah. But I pull it out. I love it still. I keep working on it. I just realized I don't love stitching on this linen, whether it was the number of times I washed it due to the indigo dyeing or something about the indigo process. The linen doesn't have a lot of, it's pretty, flimsy is not the right word, but it's softer and more drapey. And I just find that, and it's harder to see the holes in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I am
fabulous.
Gonna finish it. All right, so that's Fruits of Plenty. My next one for hour 2 was a new fall start. And I started this, but then also this was really my sort of Thanksgiving stitching. So I did a little bit more, and I did Gobble Gob. It's by Plum Street. And for this, let's see, I'm using the called for overdyed cottons and DMC, and I'm stitching it on 36 count Sand Dune by Lakeside Linens. And here's where I am.
Great choice of fabric.
Yeah, I had to change a couple of things. Get that on here. All right, so here is my progress. And for this, for the stems on the corn, it was a very, very light green. And it wasn't showing up. And it also felt too springy.
Ah, yes.
Let me see what it was. I think it might have been Weeping Willow. Here we go.
Oh, it doesn't look like it would be that light when it's on the skein.
You know what? I think it was something to do
Right?
with also my linen. It did not pop out, and it was very light. So I exchanged it for, it's called Storm Clouds by Gentle Arts. And what this one is, it's variegated, and it had some light in it and some darker.
I like that one.
And that's what the stems have been, and even like that darker stem.
That's Storm Clouds too? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. I'm missing one of the flosses for the turkeys and some of the doodads. That's coming to me. It's on my way in the mail, but I'm going to now put this one away probably till next fall. So that's Gobble Gob by Plum Street. All right, do you want to do one?
I'll do one after every 4 hours because I have 3 more things to show.
Okay. All right. So then hour 3, I did Fruits of Plenty again. And then hour 4 is I'm working on my Selbu inspired design.
At least one commenter asked about this. Are you still thinking about how the intersection of knitting and...
For sure. I'm thinking about that a lot. So Selbu, and as I've talked about it before, and next time I show this, I'll highlight a little bit more, but Selbu mittens are mittens that came out of, I think, Norway, Finland. And this, I took a mitten design, so this would have been on the hand of the mitten, this is on the palm, and some edging, and I just made my own design based on that, and I'm going to finish this as a tile. And this is being stitched on 36 count Maple Bar by Cedar River Linens, and I'm using Dinky Dye Silk. It's called Down Under Blues. And the full design for this, I can show you, it's my design. So I'll have the row of snowflakes and then just one more little border edging on that.
It's really pretty.
It really is pretty, isn't it?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really finished filling in the lattice. Now I have those little diamonds to go in. Making progress. I was thinking it'd be really fun to also like try knitting this or doing some kind of combination of stitching and knitting. So that's called Selbu.
Speaking of combinations, I think you mentioned in the last video, 2 videos ago, to try some combination of some quilt piecing and some cross stitch. So I could see that working well for that as well.
Yeah, this all came out of when we were visiting Lucy, and we saw she had the 4 little paintings. I was talking about this in a little frame and thinking how neat would it be to have little tiles of, you know, mixed media, maybe some stitching, maybe some knitting, maybe some quilting that then are put together. So more to come on that. Okay, that was hour 4.
So 2 of my hours were Kathy Barrick Christmas. Pull out a Kathy Barrick big, pull out a Kathy Barrick small. So I pulled out my North Pole, the one with the elongated Santa, and I just stitched an hour on it. So I didn't even bring it to show. I'm sure that will be something that I'll stitch in December. But the Christmas small from Kathy Barrick, hashtag Kathy Barrick fan club, it is this pin, what's it called? A Christmas pin pillow. And I've had this kitted up since it came out. Did it come out 2 years ago, I think? Or was it just last year?
I think it was just last year, but I'm not, of course not.
And I just I'm almost done. I love it.
How much had you done when you pulled it out?
Guys, it was a start.
Oh, it was a start.
Now, we hold
Here,
that up.
let's put the board up.
I think I'm going to frame it and not make it into a pillow because I feel like the reindeer are more dominant when it is flat, and I really, really, really like the reindeer border.
I feel that is one thing about a pillow is the design element gets sort of wrapped around to the side, unless you left a really big margin.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. The green in this is Oscar, and we had a couple of partial skeins, so one was very, very small. So I finished that skein and started another one going every other off the skein. So the green's in there. The 2 skeins looks pretty different, but
they do?
I think it's fine
because it looks really consistent.
But I think if I had done maybe one quadrant of that pattern in one green and then another,
or mixed them in the same area. Okay, Anna, that looks great. Do you think framed? That would also make a really nice tile.
Yes, I have an image after seeing I'm pointing to Carolyn's North Pole, which is framed. After seeing it, I have this image of this little cluster of Kathy Barrick Christmas designs in the same frame or in complementary frames. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, but I would love to fully finish it for this season.
Oh yeah, you're almost there. Finish that first. We're looking over, I've been using the Park Slope frame by Signed and Numbered, and it stands up on its own. And I have my Kathy Barrick over there by the fireplace, my North Pole. And that looks great.
And speaking of Kathy Barrick, I fully expect to order the stocking or the long rectangular Quaker pattern that she came out with this season. And I just saw that Olivia has a silk pack too. So she said that if it shows pre-order on her website, that means that it's sold out, but she's getting more.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay, because I think I looked for that pattern on her website recently. Was the pattern, but maybe it was like a week ago. Is it new?
yes, I think there was an Instagram post just yesterday.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you later. I'm going to go
And there's a Sal that's going to start where, is it Annie? Exo cross stitch? I should have written that down, sorry. She is going to divide the pattern into 12 parts so that we can stitch it next year.
Well, you know what? That might be my New Year's Day start. I have
Great.
another idea for that too. Oh, good. Olivia, I'm so glad you're doing the silk packs. I am seriously going to order as soon as this
And the
video is
silks are
done.
really pretty, blues and greens and some pretty yellows.
Yeah. But I'm also going to do the rectangle versus the stocking.
I'm also going to do the rectangle.
Okay. So back to the fall by fall. Hour 5, I measured 4 pieces and ordered frames from Signed and Numbered. And I love how you can do custom frames. They have so many great choices.
How do you, because I went onto their Etsy shop. Do you email them for a custom frame?
Yeah.
And then it shows up as...
So what you do is I send a message. There's a place where you can say like message owner or message shop.
On Etsy? Okay.
Yeah. So I find what I want by looking through it, and then I message them and I'd say like, oh, I want a Park Slope in black, and they want the exact viewing. They want the viewing dimension.
Is that the only dimension that you need to put? Is the view, and that is the inside the frame, what is going to show.
Right. And then they add, I think almost all their frames have a 1/4 inch rabbet that goes around the side. And then what they do is they'll kind of reply to your message and sort of confirm. And then once you're like, yeah, it looks good, then they post for you your own private listing. And they'll say, only if you're Carolyn, buy this. And then you can go into the private listing and purchase that, and they'll do the price.
So you get a notification, did you just say this? Do you get a notification once your private listing is up, or do you just have to go back and look? Okay.
Yeah. And I think they also linked it like it's like done through the messaging. So I messaged them, they came back. And they're super responsive. Like they almost respond, I think the same day. Or the last time I did it, they were on a weekend vacation. So they said, we'll respond to you on Monday. So they're really, really, really proactive. So I've had such great experience with them. All right. So I've got 4 frames, hopefully coming in the next week or so for that. Okay. Then after that, I did 2 more hours of my Fruits of Plenty. We saw that. And now we're up to hour 8. Hour 8, I pulled out white winter moth, and I think this is going to be definitely one I kind of want to finish in January and February.
That'd be great.
Every time I pick it up, I love it. This is by Kathy Barrick. And I went rogue. I picked my own linen. I picked my own 4 flosses. So for this, my linen's going to be 36 count red cedar by Cedar River Linens. And then for the MPA silk, you just pick 4 shades in a color family. So I picked 4 shades from the Gothic red range, and then I picked a white. And here's where I am. So in my hour, I finished this purple motif and started filling more white in for the moth and worked a little bit more on that top motif.
It's great to see that again. It's really pretty.
I'm still a little medium on this lightest purple, but I will stick with it. There's not a whole lot of it in the piece. That's the least used color. And I think once it's all in, it's going to look good. I love Cedar River linen. I actually have several projects on it right now, and it's so good. Okay, that was white winter moth. And then after that, for an hour, I had some catch up on my book of days. So I keep up day by day, but I like to use this column to summarize what are my starts, my finishes, what did I FFO, when did we film, what are my active whips. And then in the back, I have a numerical list of all my starts and all my finishes. So I kind of did a little bookkeeping, getting that going. All right, that brings us to hour 10. And in hour 10, I pulled out Autumn Saltbox. And this is number 1, although it's the second one I've stitched. And this is the one, what did we say? It was like a whiskey rick house or something like that, some commenter said. Again, I also stopped mid-thread down there. So here, let me pull out, actually hold that for a second, I'm gonna pull out the pattern. Here's the pattern. So this one's totally in action, fully finished, and working on this. And I'm going to replace those numbers for the date with some pumpkins. That will be a change that I'll do. And the other change is the stars that are done in the brown were supposed to be back stitched, but I just stitched them with cross stitches, and I like that. Continue to love these, but this will go away also till next fall. The last one though, I also have the winter one, so I think I'll get to those. All right, and that is stitched on Weeks Platinum. Is that Weeks Platinum? Yeah, I guess it is, with the DMC and overdyes. Okay, just cranking through these. All right, hour 11 was my bird herd. And this is designed by Boomerang Stitches, Amity, Hathaway Stitchers. And this one I started this summer when I was spending 2 weeks at the beach with my granddaughters, and I'm just stitching the birds across the top. And I let each girl pick their colors. So that was the oldest. She was 4 at the time. The other 4-year-old, this one was 2, and she's picked her colors. This one yet hasn't picked her colors. She'll pick hers once they're ready. So I was working on the third bird who she likes some pinks, but she has a lot of blues and greens coming up. So this is the third one. And this bird has a big plume up here that will be all in blues. And this is being stitched on 28 count Autumn Gold by Lakeside Linen. I really like this Autumn Gold.
Beautiful.
Really great. And then first I went in to get the call for DMCs, and it was like 11 of them. I came out with like 24. So it's just whatever color people want, we're stitching with that. And since it's 28, I'm stitching 2/2. I love, Amity has such a great whimsical design.
Yeah, she really does. I'm looking forward to stitching one of hers one day.
Yeah. So that's bird herd. I'm not going to stitch bird herd, but I might like stitch the name of the beach where we go to, or just a little something under the branch. TBD. All right. Do you want to do one?
Why don't you finish up and then I'll do one.
Okay. Then that brought me to hour 12, which was my birthday start.
I've been waiting for this.
I know. And for my birthday start, I'm stitching Checkerboard Stag Sampler by Samplers Remembered. And I got this at the attic from our trip last April. And I'm stitching this on, and I went a little higher count, lower count, I guess, 40 count Maple Bar, again by Cedar River. And I'm using the called for gumnut silk, which was really fun to get at the attic.
Does it feel different than other silks you've used?
No, it's nice.
Okay.
It's like a silk. I like the colors. They also had one Belle Soie that I forgot to buy, and it's one of the colors for the stag. So I had to stop there, and that's ordered and it's on its way. Belle Soie. Okay, so here's one of my questions is, pull out the silks. Here are the silks I've currently used so far. And there's this very light orange peach. And I think it's ghosting too much. I've started working on the borders across the top, and the orange peach is outlining that band and is the small flowers, the bottom flowers of the other band.
And it'll be some of the stars or something.
It's also in here, any place where you see that light. So we've got some satin stitch there and some cross stitch. So I think it's too light. What's your feeling?
I think it's too late too. I noticed it right away when you brought it out.
Yeah. I looked in our MPI stash and we didn't really have anything. I think I still need to go with this color family, but just darken it a notch. So I might need to go to Needle in a Haystack, because I think between the MPIs or the Belle Soie, I could probably find something for that. So,
and I might be at Acorns and Threads, not for sure, in a couple of weeks. So you could also give me that floss drop.
Yes, I think I'm gonna do that for sure. And so then I was gonna come down and start one of the stags, but then I realized I didn't have the main stag color, so I sort of stalled a little bit on that.
Yeah,
but it's good to know. I definitely will rip out that.
It's a little bit hard to know, like, when there's more of it, I think it's going to look better when there's something underneath it. Mm-hmm. I know there's nothing touching it, but even that flower. But I think it's worth looking further.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing I'm still learning about my fabric choices. Like as I'm picking fabrics that the floss looks nice on, I still have to think a little bit more about the value. And because even like you'd think that would show up, but when you have just one thin thread, it really makes a big difference for that.
I think that is the same for me too. I'm still learning that.
Yeah, so this is an adaptation from a Mexican band sampler. In fact, I got 3 different patterns related to Mexican band samplers down there. Really love that look. So that is the Checkerboard Stag sampler.
I'm so glad you started it.
And same thing, I'm going to definitely keep going on this. I'll probably wait till after Christmas and then come back to it.
Oh, really? How come?
Because I got so much. I'm like, really,
got other plans. We'll hear about them in a moment.
Really in the Christmas stitching spirit. Okay, so that was my fall 12 by 12. Totally going to participate in the New Year's 12 by 12 for sure. For sure. I think it was New Year's Eve for that. And I think I'm going to continue this year to try to do 4 a year. I really love them. If anybody else wants to participate, just let us know. Maybe try to give a little bit more warning for people as they come along. Okay.
All right, one of the things I did for my 12 by 12 was I stitch a patriotic Santa for my son-in-law each year. And I started the blue one. This is Americana Santa's 2 holiday pin keeps by the Humble Stitcher. And it's charted for DMC, but I looked through our Roxy floss and I'm using that so far. The blue is Great Lakes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. I'm enjoying it. So I already had the DMCs, so I've been using those as inspiration.
He's going to be little.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the one holding the...
Oh, it's behind.
Oh,
it's behind that.
He's this one holding the flag, the blue one.
It's funny. I don't know where my index card is. I can't remember what fabric that is. Maybe 18th century rook or something like that. I thought it had an Americana feel.
Yeah, it does. And the colors look really good on that. I think you started with the lighter blue, didn't you?
I did. It was more a lighter and like a lighter gray blue. And it looked kind of dusty. Just looked too light blue. Mm-hmm. Wanted to have
that navy feel to it.
Right.
Okay, that looks great. All right, so now we have some whips. So my first whip is Artsy Housewife Blue Moon. And I was working on that between the last time we filmed and the 12 by 12. So I probably put about 3 or 4 days. I love this so much. So I started with the called for DMC. And then I just kind of converted it to a combination of NPI silks and some overdyed Roxy floss. And I love this. Look at that bird. Last time I had just started to outline the bird, and that head and the beak and the design in the body. It's everything you want in a cross stitch piece.
Well, this is one of those ones too where the colors are just working so well for you.
Yes.
I mean, of course, the design we love, but
this orange, I started with an NPI silk, but it looked too flat, and I went to this Roxy floss. Which one am I using? Gardenia.
I feel it's one of the themes.
It has so much depth of color.
Recently is, when we want an over dye and a little variation, and we both love silk so much. So use silk too.
And it was so funny how I think we've talked about this first flower, when I stitched it just in silk, it looked really dull. And I don't know, it was just maybe just a little matte. I don't know what it was against the fabric, but as soon as I went to the over dye, it was like, boom. Even though the color is so similar. So this one too is going to go away for a little bit, just because I'm kind of in the holiday, and I'm going to do also a Artsy Housewife holiday stitch too. But I think this is a good winter stitch. Again, this is going to come back, I'm pretty sure, in January and February. All right, so that's Blue Moon. Actually, quite a bit.
Yes, you have a lot. I didn't. We have little notes that we keep before a video, sort of to do a little pre-thinking. I didn't do that this time. I just made a little stack and brought some things over because I realized the one thing I have left to show is really more of a finish than a whip, but whatever.
Okay. I really enjoyed my fall stitching this year. The day after Thanksgiving, I'm like, done. I'm like, I'm ready for Christmas stitching. It was so funny. And I decided to start with a little amuse-bouche of holiday stitching. And for that,
I don't even know what that means.
amuse-bouche is like when you're eating food, a little amuse-bouche would just be a tiny taste. It's either like to start your whole meal. It's like much smaller than an appetizer. It's like one bite. Sort of like get your palate going,
It's
get you
something
excited.
that would be served at a fancy restaurant, or
Or like even like sometimes if we're cooking here, like let's say my husband does a lot of sous videing, so he's made something good. He'll give it to me in a little bowl. Like before we eat, he's like, here's your little amuse-bouche. So just like a tiny piece of whatever he made. So here's my amuse-bouche, my wee Santa 2023. I thought I was going to stitch this last year and it was all kitted up and ready to go. And I'm using the, let's see, called for over-dyed cottons, and my linen is 36 count chai. These wee Santas have a big palette. Palette's not so wee, but you know.
I love all the pinks in the recent ones.
There is Santa. Okay, I need to tell you something I did that I think was really successful. Let me just share my success. The white was not really showing up on this fabric. So I first want to call your attention to the white squares in the pink flower right here. Oopsie, over here. And see if you can see them. Then compare that to the white in the beard. Okay, do you feel like you can see the beard?
Mm-hmm.
I did something that a commenter told me to do, which was before on the white. So what I did is I stitched the full stitch in white and then I restitched the top leg. So the top leg, so a lot of times I go out and back. I stitch in hand, so for the out, I did a full cross, and then the back, I did only the top leg coming back.
Oh!
And when you look at it up close, the stitches feel a little more plump and they don't lay quite as flat, but I feel like you can see the white.
You can.
And I'm not going to go back and overdo, I don't think, the white squares in the flower.
I kind of like the difference. It's almost like a little textural difference.
Mm-hmm. And down here, there's some white flowers, but I'm going to stitch those in maybe a pink. The other thing is this pink flower is two-tone pink. And I wasn't really paying attention when I started to stitch it. And you have to kind of fussy cut the pinks because of the over-dyed. If you did the darker of one and the lighter of the other, they're very similar. So you have to, I think I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful as I'm going through the other pink flowers. So you can see it looks much more two-toned there than it does in my piece. But he's just coming together. Really got me started. Okay. And then my last whip, I was off a week from school, which was great. Wouldn't that be great for everybody? And I decided I wanted to do something that required some good thinking. So I am knitting a pair of gloves. And the gloves, and part of it was I had realized I hadn't blocked this sweater yet. I sort of found it in a bag. I'm like, oh yeah. So I wove my ends in, I blocked it, and then I realized I had a lot of the yarn left over. I'm like, okay, what should I do with this yarn? I'm like, I'm gonna knit some gloves.
I didn't know it was the
So
same.
I've been working on gloves. So I still have to do my thumb on this one, but this is my first. Got all my fingers. And I don't know if you knitters out there, knitting gloves is a really good technical problem, like figuring out like how do you do the fingers, and there's always a space in between your finger. It's called a fourchette. How do you get your fourchette in there? How do you do it without making holes? So super happy with the results. I noticed I'm a little bit baggy down here. So for my second glove, I'm doing some wrist shaping, and that has a really much better fit around my cuff.
Oh, yeah. Will these be bike riding gloves, do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I right now I wear my mittens. This right now is probably too, I actually like to wear gloves and mittens. I almost wear them all the time, even when I'm like walking. These are probably going to be too lightweight for bike, where I really like mittens where your fingers are next to each other and they're keeping them warm, because this can get kind of cold. But super psyched. And that's been really fun, just designing them as I go.
I like it when you're in your element like that.
Yeah. Just
making things work.
I'm just like filling out my notebook, writing my pattern down, and like even things of like figuring out how are you going to do your fingers, how many stitches, what stitches are you going to put in between. Just love it. But it's the type of thing like I need some brain space to do it. So this was like a perfect time. So I was working on that. So that's my last tip. Okay.
The last thing I have to show is I am taking a quilt class, and it's 6 months long, and each month has a block that we do variations on a theme with and a color palette. So the block for November was Log Cabin, and I had just made my first block at the last video. And then I was like, well, what if there's not as much variation? And I did more of like clusters. And then I tried one light, one medium, one dark in terms of value.
Ooh.
I did 2 sets of those. And then I liked this one a lot, so I wanted to keep playing with that idea a bit. And then with maybe a few little surprises. And then my last one, this is what I did from 12 by 12, was a hexagon block.
Wow.
Which I have 4 pictures just so that people can understand the process a little bit. These are pieced using a paper piecing technique, which is new to me. So the first picture is showing me prep for the stripe that's right above this dark blue piece. So I trimmed the fabric to 1 inch, and then, so that's what this picture is. And then you're gonna see in the next picture, you fold back the paper and sew your 1/4 inch seam. And then I think the next shows me doing the opposite stripe in the same place. So it would be like stripe, 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 stripe. So the thing I like about this paper foundation piecing technique is that you don't tear off your paper. Your sewing machine needle never goes into the paper because you're folding the paper back. So you can use the same template again and again, and you don't have to tear it off again.
So is the folded paper though giving you like a stitch line, or how is it helping you?
You're stitching right along the edge of the fold, and like maybe twice my needle would pierce that paper and just tear it a little.
And how is the paper holding on to the fabric?
I am using a washable glue stick.
Oh.
You only really need to do that at the beginning, and then it starts, it's totally fine.
Okay.
So that yeah, and you're ironing in that, and then that you just kind of like peel the whole thing off at the end. So very, very fun. The next month, I've got my color palette.
Oh my gosh, Anna.
And it is, she's calling Tara Fonen is the teacher. She's calling the next month abstractions. It's just rectangles and squares. So I will have some blocks to show in our next video.
Cool.
I need to wash
I feel like that has more color range. Or maybe going back, this one had less color range, I felt. So can you imagine like a little piece like this, and then a cross stitch piece that uses some of the similar colors? This could be structural, and then your cross stitch piece could be more organic or something, and then having them somehow framed together, or little tiles, or
I noticed that this month, because December content came out today, there's a little video on how to stretch some of these little pieces onto a frame.
Yeah.
So that could be another, like a series of tiles, maybe.
Yeah, first stitched like that, and then you could almost do little, in fact, you could almost lace them or mount them on a piece of even foam core or just mat board, just like we do stitching. You just need to get away from your seam allowance, or have this last piece be big enough that it could fold over.
Right. I'm sure I'm going to say this every month for all 6 months. I look at color more than I look at value. I know, just naturally, and so I'm really trying to learn about value. And for me, like my essential question, as we say in education, was how do I use value to produce movement? Is sort of what I was concentrating on.
And I think people do see hue more than value, and I think that's a big thing when you're picking your linen to go with fabric. A lot of times we're looking at what linen complements the hues and the colors. At least this is me, but I'm not always attuned to thinking about the value. And even if you're like, oh, that color looks great on that, but there could be a value mismatch.
Yeah, we put a picture in our last video. I've been practicing. You should see my living room when I'm doing this. My couch is spread with fabric, and I'm arranging my fabric by value. And I try to do it at first, and then I test it by taking a black and white photo, and then I make adjustments just to get my eye trained looking at value. So I am enjoying this quilt class so much and learning a ton. Yeah. And it's just amazing to me because I usually like to learn in community. I love all the chit chat that comes with all of that, but there's so much concentration in this. I feel like there is a little community because there's a little like Facebook kind of page just for the class, but I'm mostly totally quiet and concentrating. So it's been great.
Yeah. See, I think I'm more of that style learner. Like if let's say somebody presents, and I actually think about this as a teacher, like let's say somebody gives you like a puzzle or your problem or something you're working on, I don't want to talk about it with people first. I really need like some good think time, and I'm not always a fast thinker. And then I'd like to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it first. Yeah. Okay, Anna. So this is 6 months, right?
Yes. So December is the 3rd month.
Okay. Neat. So fun. Okay. Plans. What are your plans?
I haven't thought too much about it, but I think I'm just going all in Christmas. And one of the things on my 12 by 12 was to open a drawer that had unfinished Christmas things, and a lot of them are like this close to being finished. So I'm thinking maybe work on North Pole, finish a little something, work on North Pole, finish a little something, something like that.
Yeah. I'm going to give you that characteristic. Sometimes you get like this close to finishing it. Like I think the squirrel, right? The scary 2 or the scary 1. Weren't you like this close to finishing?
Oh yeah, but I had just started it like 2 weeks before, so I don't think that's a great example. I agree with
were you going to put it away?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But you did give me a nudge. Like, you should finish it this. So
yeah. Okay, that's good. All right, I am just totally into Christmas stitching, particularly because I think between Thanksgiving and Christmas is going to go really quickly. So I'm going to keep working on my Wee Santa. The Artsy Housewife I'm going to start is lit, and I'll put a picture of it right here. It's the reindeer with the Christmas lights. I ordered, it was done in overdyed cottons. I ordered the overdyed cottons. I actually ordered the called for linen, which I typically don't do, but I'm like, I think Gigi's such a master with color. I want to see what her combination is. So I got that. That's on its way to me. So as soon as I get that, I'm going to start it. I tried to buy the pattern, Olivia B, at the time I went to Hillside Rookery, and it was currently sold out. So I think I'm going to get the PDF from the Artsy Housewife site for that. So I'll do that one as a PDF pattern. I'm going to do that. I have 2 Christmas whips that I'm going to pull out. One is a Christmas Quaker that I'm doing 1/1 on 28 count.
Yeah, I like that one.
And the other is the reindeer games from last year, and I've done 2 of them.
Reindeer games.
If they're little circular, and you got, I got the kit from Farm Girl Dry Goods, and it comes with the ornaments and everything. So I have 2 done. The 3rd one, you know, I was going to have them done as ornaments this year and give one to each of my son's families and keep one for myself. I'm not going to rush, so they'll probably just get them next Christmas. But I do want to kind of finish those up, and maybe even like fully finish them this year for that. And then I have a couple other patterns that I've been thinking about. I have 2 more Wee Santas, and Anna has another one. So if I'm into these, I might keep working on that. This is a Stacy Nash. It's called the 12 Days of Christmas Sewing Roll. And I would do it as like a framed or piece. It's the picture. It's really hard to see.
I love that one.
But it has a grid and then little motifs in each grid. So that's a contender. And then I also love this. I showed this a couple FlossTubes ago, Santa and the Wool Makers. And it's a collaboration with Kathy Barrick and Hello from Liz Matthews. And that's this one. This one is done in MPI silk, so I might, but now that I was going to do this one, but now thinking about the stocking and long rectangle, I might say, I don't know, we'll see. But for the next 4 weeks, I'm all in the holiday stitching, and I'm going to put everything else aside, I think, for that. And then the last thing is I was hoping to do the Evertotes holiday countdown again, but whether I missed it or it was never available, last year I had bought just the pattern and stitched along, and I had pulled my own flosses, and I want to do the same thing this year, but I never saw the pattern on sale independently. So either I missed it or they didn't do it this year.
Yeah, I feel like I saw it on the Evertote website, but I could be mistaken.
And it might have just been last year they had some extra copies, so they might do it with what's left. And,
maybe that.
And so it could have been up for a short time, but then once those are done, because I noticed now they're selling boxes with just the flosses and no pattern, which makes me think that they probably sold out of their printed copies of the pattern. So for you, everybody out there, I'm just going to be following along vicariously. I can't wait to see it. That was so fun last year, and so next year I'm going to have to be a little bit more.
Yeah, sometimes you can feel like, I'm really missing that, so like I'm on it next year. And I'm hoping people will share the Kitten Stitcher Advent box too as they open it.
Right.
It's fun to watch.
Right. Okay, and then shared supplies.
All right, I received my Roxy Flossco Fabric Club, the 40 count traditional. It's called Irish Coffee, and I thought I'm gonna open it when I get to Carolyn's.
Oh, awesome!
So let's see what it looks like.
Oh, that's pretty.
Very pretty.
Yeah. It almost has like a little bit of like red or pink and a little green.
And then we'll have to see it in different lights.
Nice.
Very pretty.
Oh, you're 40 count. All right. I thought I had nothing, but then I forgot I had been saving this to open it. I had pre-ordered from Farm Grown Dry Girls. Sometimes she sends out those emails and I'm like, this is a pre-order, and this is Peace and Goodwill by Brenda Gervais.
I think
I've
Chris,
seen
the camping stitcher, just did this lickety split.
Okay, I've started
Really
to see
pretty.
some people starting this. I was thinking this might be my New Year's Day start, but I might do that stocking. We'll see.
So you're not going to do like a blessing sampler kind of thing? You're going to do more of a...
Well, my other one last year, here I'll put a picture of what it was also like, let there be peace and let it begin with me. So sort of an idea of peace. And the year before that, I did that winter scene. I'll put a picture of it right here. Those are my last two.
From Acorns and Threads.
Acorns and Thread. So I feel like this kind of falls in that same category. And I don't feel like this is overtly Christmas. I feel like it's a winter scene. And the kit came with over-dyed cottons and DMCs and the fabric. I got 36 count.
That's going to be so fun.
So looking forward to that.
This was not shared supplies, but it was a purchase that I made, and that is after hearing from the artsy housewife that both Gigi and Boone's birthday samplers were going to be on Patreon. I'm having my first Patreon experience. So joined the Artsy Housewife Patreon.
Good.
And then I needed some more Great Lakes, the dark blue that I'm using on my son-in-law's Santa. So I got 2 Christmas patterns from Evertote. One of them is called Tree Medley.
Oh, this is the same as your
Shade and
pumpkin.
Stitchery.
Right, is that the same?
It's a different person, but it definitely screams similar. Like, I obviously like this sort of grid-like thing. Same with like the box, the Christmas one. And then I also just like a delicate, sweet, this is May B. Thompson's Christmas, 1878 by Crow's Feet stitching. I don't plan on starting either of these this year, but I think it's fun to buy several Christmas patterns each year, add to our collection.
And these trees are cute too, because you could do just one of the trees.
Yeah, my husband and I were talking about what's at the top of that tree. What do you think that is?
Okay, I have an idea. She's talking about the yellow tree in the middle. I think it's a bunny or a duck. I think it's a bunny. What do you think?
I don't know.
Or is it a bird? It's a bird on a nest.
I think that, yes, I think it is a bird on a nest.
AKA
Now I can't remember what he said.
A bunny.
I think these would be adorable by themselves, just like the pumpkins would be super cute.
I like the crow's feet stitching. I feel like I need to go in and look at her patterns a little bit more, because whenever I see ones somebody show them, I'm like, wait, who's that? I like that. Cool.
Yep.
All right. That brings us to thumbs up.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. My thumbs up are just things that I'm just digging right now. Okay. Thumbs up. First thing is, as Anna mentioned, on Friday, the day after Christmas, we just hustled over to the place that sells our silver tipped Christmas trees that are super funky trees, but we both love them. And I'm looking at it right now. I'll insert a picture of the silver. So it's not decorated yet, but I just love that tree so much. Next, Although we have fireplaces in our houses, it's very unusual to be able to have a fire in our area in Northern California. There's all these like spare the air days and all this stuff. So I've just stopped having fires in my fireplace, and I put a log and some fairy lights. So I have my fairy lights going in there, which I love for that.
Looks great.
And then finally, a couple days ago, one of my sisters and we sat down and we did a jigsaw puzzle. I love them so much. I hadn't done one. It just reminded me how fun they were. So thumbs up.
Feeling of a piece going in.
Oh my gosh. Or you pick up a piece and you just know where it's going to go. And it was a fun puzzle. It was 500 pieces. So we just did it in the afternoon, and it had some big chunks of color, which were easier, and then some harder areas. So it was very fun. Okay. Thumbs up.
Well, since Thanksgiving is on my brain, a few things. Of course, the Thanksgiving meal. We had leftovers last night, and we just reheated everything, and it was just all so good. It was good. You know, we skipped one night. We had pizza, Thanksgiving pizza leftovers. So that was delicious, and I just really enjoy the times of year when our family has tradition of many people who can to gather, and the 4 generations being together in lots of different iterations on lots of different days.
Mm-hmm.
Just super special. And then we had a couple of rainy days about a week ago, but the last couple of days have been sort of chilly and sunny, and we've gotten some good walks in. Especially if there are birds too, I just love going for a walk like that.
Good. Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll next come to you. I'm out of town next weekend. You're out of town the weekend after that. So it might just be again 3 weeks.
We'll have to see. We may have to do a weeknight.
Or a week.
See.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see you when we see you. All right, everybody. So great to see you. Hope everybody is doing well, getting a lot of stitching in.
Happy crafting.
And stay curious.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.